Hey kids, Mr. Hammond. Today we're going to learn a little bit about the energy pyramid. So start by giving your title the energy pyramid or energy pyramid. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a large triangle because what the energy pyramid does, it's a graphic organizer, a way for scientists to explain how energy moves through all the different types of producers and consumers in the ecosystem. So how it moves through the food chain, basically. So let's go ahead and start by making a pyramid. And I'll need about 5 lines per level. So I need to make it about 20 lines in height and as wide as I can get it. So I'm going to put a little dot. I'm going to jump down 2 lines and put a dot right in the middle of the page. In fact, I'm going to use my folding technique to find the middle of the page. There we go. I'm going to jump down 2 lines and put that right smack dab in the middle. There we go. And I'm going to bring it all the way out here to the red line at the edge. In fact, 20 down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I'm bringing it all the way out there. And now I'm going to bring it out to the other red line, which is right about there. It's kind of the red line on the opposite side of the page. So I'm going to go over to across, make a dot. Now I'll try to do this. Whoa, sorry. Now I'll try to do this without hitting my iPad, which I didn't. Sorry if my head's getting in the way. Got to work around this tripod. There we go. I'm going to put a line down the bottom. Now I'm going to draw a line every 5 lines up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Draw a line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Draw a line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Draw a line. So basically, in an ecosystem, in the food chain, or even food web, we have the sun that we begin with. And the sun provides energy for the entire ecosystem. But the only way that sun energy can get into the ecosystem is by starting down at the base level with the producers. Okay, so I'm going to draw a big arrow going from the sun down to the producers. And then I'm going to put my big old producers here. The producers are the only ones who can, we've talked about this before, the only ones that can access energy from the sun and turn it into a chemical form of energy that the rest of the ecosystem can use to live off of. All right? So they're the producers. Now, the next level up is going to be our primary consumers. It's all review. The magic's going to happen in a second. Now, if we go up one more level, we're going to be talking about the secondary consumers. And finally, the last level, which we really kind of don't have enough room for, are the tertiary consumers. So I'm going to try to fit that in there. Okay, tertiary consumers. Now we could put apex consumers or apex predators. We could go up even higher, but in this case, we're not going to be doing that. We're just keeping it simple. But this is just the idea that, like a pyramid, the base is larger than the top. So energy at the very bottom is going to be the largest. That's where the largest amount of energy is stored from the sun. You're also going to have your largest populations of animals. But as you move up towards your tertiary consumers, you're going to be losing energy from the sun, and the population or size of those species is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So what do we mean by that? Let's take a look at something. So a basic one, we'll say producers here. We'll just say grass is our example. There are millions and millions and millions of blades of grass in a forest. Okay, there's got to be a lot of grass because that grass is going to be used by the primary consumers to survive. The primary consumers in this case we'll say are grasshoppers. And this is a classic example. The grasshoppers are going to eat that grass, which got majority or all of its energy from the sun, okay? But they're not going to get all of that direct energy from the sun. They're going to lose some of that energy because the grass will have used some of the sun energy to grow. Some of it it'll store in its body. To just be very blunt about this, only 10% of the original energy from the sun that the grasshopper, or not, that the grass gets from the sun, only 10% is going to be transferred on to the next level. So 90% of all the original sun energy gets used up by the grass just to grow and survive. So the grasshopper comes along, it eats up the grass, okay? It gets some of that energy. It's still a fairly large population. There's not as many grasshoppers in a forest as blades of grass, but there's still a lot of grasshoppers. Well, the grasshopper is going to use that energy. It's going to use 90% of it to survive and just live, which means when the secondary consumer comes along, in this case we'll call it the frog, he's only going to get 10% of that grasshopper's original energy. Okay, so again, when we say this 10%, we're talking about the original energy from the sun. So it just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller, which is why the population size gets smaller and smaller and smaller. There are not nearly as many frogs as there are grasshoppers. So eventually the frog uses that energy to grow and live and survive and function, and eventually it gets eaten by the very top level. In this case, we'll say a snake comes along and eats a frog. Okay. And it's only going to get 10% of that original sun energy is going to get transferred onto this guy. Okay, so the snake is getting even less energy. So what does that mean? Well, let's say that the producers collect 1,000 units or 10,000 units of sun energy. That means only 10% of that is going to get passed on here, which means only 1,000 units is going to make it to the next level of the original sun energy. And that means out of those 1,000 units, only 100 are going to make it on to the next level. And from that 100 units, after the frog uses up some of it just to survive, only 10 units are going to make it to that top level. So what we're looking at here, and let's go ahead and put a little cloud around these so they stand out. Out of that original energy, only 10 units made it up to the very top level, which also explains why there's so few snakes compared to blades of grass in a forest. The energy pyramid is just showing you that as you move yourself through the food chain from producer to primary to secondary to tertiary consumer, the population size is going down and the energy from the sun is going down. There's less of the energy. So let's go ahead and write that. As you move through the food chain, comma, the size of the organisms, populations, and the amount of energy from the sun decreases.